I'm watching a commercial on our channel.
What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we are talking Death Note once again. This time, episodes 31 through 34. But before we get into all of that fun and hoopla, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I gotta tell you, I'm fan freaking tastic. This is like, as always, you guys know it's the best 2 days of the week when we're out here talking. It's just such a release from the rest of the week, And I've been so busy, like the last week and a half. It seems like I've been going nonstop, and these are just, these are the moments. Well, where's my beer? I don't drink beer, but absolutely, guys. Let's all have a drink together.
None of us have a beer.
That's right. Well, some of us got to work tomorrow. Some don't. Right, Doug? Doug doesn't have to work tomorrow.
Oh, I may not be working tomorrow, but I have work.
As you can see, Doug has also gotten a fresh haircut. He's looking sharp and dapper. He's ready for the weekend. And I'm sure on his introduction, he will explain to you what he's doing on his weekend.
Don't tell him what to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, talk about whatever you like. But yeah, I can't wait to talk these episodes. Well, I always do that. I always include that in the intro. But with these episodes, I'm not as enamored with them as the first. It seems to be going downhill for me. But I guess I'll go into the ratings later on. So, Doug, how are you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding.
Love it.
I'm doing pretty darn good. Yeah, I've got a very, as you alluded to, I've got a very busy weekend coming up. Huge congratulations to my sister. She is getting married this weekend, so I will be attending and taking part in the wedding. For some reason, they want me to wear a monkey suit and get up there and dance for them too, I guess. So, that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. So, yeah, I'm going to have a busy time. So, I am loving this. This is a nice break for me. I get to hang out with you fine gentlemen and talk Death Note and yeah. Yeah.
I see that you're trying not to go into Death Note as well. You're struggling to not talk about it. I get it.
How are you?
I am tremendous. Another fun week at work, and it all culminates in talking Death Note on Thursday night with two great dudes. So hopefully Mike and Kenny show up. Otherwise, we're just talking with you guys. I kid. It's always great talking to you guys. We are getting so close to the end here.
I know,
it's sad, but I'm looking forward to finding out how they wrap this all up. So let's dive right in, gentlemen. We are talking 4 episodes: Transfer, Selection, Scorn, and Vigilance. And
I do like how each show has only one name in the title. Just like another show that I really like. What's that? Well, they did that for 10 years. What was that show? Smallville. Every episode was a one-word title. And you'd think they'd run out of words.
I would hope not. There's lots of
The dictionary's
words.
pretty big, Dave. There's a lot of words out there.
There's more than 222 words?
There is more.
Only
Would you
42.
believe it?
I'm going to have to, get a dictionary or something.
But as soon as you get one and you finish paying it off, when you put it on layaway, then all of a sudden they've released a new edition and it's got all the new words that all the kids are using.
Then I won't know. I don't know this new slang. So
Flipping through, what's a skibbity?
I know this one. But let's talk Death Note, because this starts off episode 31 with the cliffhanger that we talked about on Sunday, where the Kira's Kingdom people are storming the SPK's building, basically. And I really dug how they worked their way out of this. Let's drop tons of cash everywhere, and let's see, the character of these people. Are they really after us, or are they who we think they are? And even the helicopter guy's like, turn left, I gotta get more money.
Right.
And during that moment, I'm thinking that head of Kira's Kingdom is not a good person. How long is it going to, how long will it take till it catches up with him? And we find that out in a few episodes, I think the next episode. But
it's the very next episode, yeah. Now, the one thing that I didn't like about this, and, in all honesty, the manga isn't much better about explaining it. It's the fact that it's like we're missing part of the story, where at some point, Light decides, you know what, I need to give up the notebook for now. I need Ryuk to go find somebody else. But we end up finding out later on, the process by which he went about this. But when we're initially introduced to who's essentially going to be the substitute Kira for a while, or as Nier calls him, the ex-Kira, it was kind of a shock. It's like, whoa, hold up, who's this dude? Where did he come from? Like, what is even happening here? And it's like, and Light is clearly aware of him. We don't see Ryuk hanging around, so it's like, I feel like the flow of this, like the order, it felt out of whack. It felt almost like Acolyte. I hate saying it. It's nowhere near as bad, but like the episode flow, I'm like, we're missing something. This is weird. And I went back to the previous episode. I'm like, maybe I cut it off too early. Was there an end credit scene? Like, what's going on? Like, no. Like, what is going on then?
They've done.
Let's call it acolytical.
Acolytical. I like
that. They did such a better job in part one, where you knew he was planning something, and then you would see parts of it. Then they would kind of explain it all out and see how it all fell into place. And I thought they did a really good job. Mm-hmm. And you're right with this. He was talking. He's like, "Oh, do I make my move now or something?" When they were kind of thinking he was Light with Nier, and Nier was talking to the rest of the team. But then it just kind of happened, and I did the same thing. Like the start of episode 32, where they're showing this guy, and I'm like, "Who is this?"
Delete.
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 And I'm like, okay, they could have really done a much better job of letting us know he was, ex-Kira before they kind of got into his backstory. Because I'm like, okay, we're learning a new guy. Who is he? And then I'm like, oh, okay, he's whoever, Light sent the book to. But they did a terrible job.
Yeah.
With the flow of that scene and the transition. Something was definitely amiss. And it still feels to me, like I talked about the first 4 episodes of part 2, they just seem to be rushing things. It's like where they took their time before, and Dave's frozen. They took their time before to kind of let things play out. It's like everything is just quickly coming through. Oh, his fans.
Well, you know why, right? The creators were promised that they. Yep, you're back. The creators were promised that they'd get to make a Star Wars movie. So they had to hurry up and rush and complete it. And
I know. Yeah. I was going to say, like, how much the writing has fallen off since episode 26.
Yeah.
It's coming down fast. It's a little frustrating to me because the first part was so good. It's like they knew up to 26 and they said, all right, we're going to round it out with 26. And then they said, no, we need some more episodes to do good. And then they're scrambling to figure out something else to do, because why are they prolonging? Like, all right, if they didn't have this in mind, why did they just come up with another exact copy of L? As Nier is. Nier is just L, just instead of food, it's toys that he creates.
Well, I'm almost wondering. I haven't, again, because we don't know who the actual creator of Death Note is. He's kept his identity very, very secretive. I don't know if he was writing it and he figured the perfect conclusion of this story is Light defeating L. That's it. Full stop. Story over. And then maybe his publisher was like, Where's my next issue? Oh no, the story's done. I'm done. It's over. No,
Sometimes
Death
the
Note's
bad
really
guy wins.
popular. You've got to give me more.
Right.
I don't know. Again, there's no word on it, but I almost wonder if that was the situation because it does, kind of like what you're saying there, Dave. It feels almost parts of it almost feel thrown together. It almost feels like it's going on longer than it needed to.
Yes.
I would have been very happy if they ended it after 26. Even
Yeah.
though people would be like, well, what happened after that?
Oh, he what? He wins. That's it. Just
It's
it.
all about your imagination at this point. You know
Yeah.
what? You can
Yeah.
imagine that someone caught him. And I thought we would see a lot more mellow. Like Nier is, unfortunately, just L2. No
Yeah.
real
But like
differences
worse.
between them.
He's L, but worse
Yeah.
because he's more childish, and he's constantly playing with toys. At one point, they're flying on an airplane, and the one guy who works who's supposed to be a colleague of his has to hand him a robot toy and play with him on the plane. Like, this is supposed to be the world's greatest detective. Come on, guys.
And you would think that they would introduce Mello, who's much more of a Misa to L, I'll say. You know,
Yeah.
causing chaos and doing things. At times I think, okay, they planned all of this out prior to him leaving the orphanage in episode 27. But I don't know because they haven't really hit on it. You know, you see Mello like watching Misa for a minute, and that's about it. We've barely seen him at all in part two. And I thought he'd be a bigger player. I thought he would be doing things detrimental to Nier's case in some way just because he's trying to beat him. And we haven't seen it. And that's disappointing. You know, we
Speaking
get.
of Misa, real quick, I was kind of thrown off. Like, again, I knew that, Light, his plan was for them to, you know, um, give up the books. That way they couldn't be found with them, or if anybody looked at them with the Shinigami eyes, they wouldn't be known as owners of a Death Note or anything like that. So I get that, but he made Misa like, give it up, which, okay, this girl has already gotten the Shinigami ideal twice. And now she's losing the book again, which means she loses the eyes. So if he suddenly wants her to get the power again at some point, you know,
I only think he
She'll have
doesn't
to
want
cut
it
down
again.
those 200 years that she has.
The way I looked at it is he really wants to be with the Kira Kingdom new spokesman, his girlfriend from college, because
okay.
he, give it all up. She doesn't remember
Do you think
any
he's
of
trying
it.
to cut ties with Misa?
I do. And even the whole thing with how he's, oh, this is my girlfriend. I can use my ex-girlfriend. I can use this for the investigation. I can trick these guys. They're even doing a bad job of okay, I'm going to meet her in a hotel room and, we'll have cameras and everything. And then, when Kira does call and he talks to him and he's like, oh, what do you mean page 26 with that on it? Like, that doesn't seem sus beyond imagination. They didn't write him like that before. And then, oh, Kira says we have to get rid of all of the cameras in the room, but you could still have wiretaps. I'm like,
no.
it doesn't take Nier to figure out that is sus beyond belief. I'm watching that episode and I was like, God, this is going absolutely downhill quickly. And I'm so disappointed.
Light has become so full of himself. I'm kind of grasping at straws here. I don't know if this is actually true or this is the intent, but my gosh, Light has become so full of himself that he truly thinks he's that unbeatable. That he's like, ha ha ha, nobody's ever going to catch me. I'm so smart. I've outsmarted everybody. And then what's funny is we're almost getting a callback to the earlier episodes when Light is explaining to Ryuk how he puts a pencil lead in the hinges of his door and puts a piece of paper to check and see if anybody has entered his room, and he's got all these big plots and everything in place, and he doesn't fall, or he falls for a very simple. The one detective just kind of presses his fingernail into the paper to find out if anybody has used any of it. And Light falls for that. Old Light from the earlier episodes would have caught that. He would have been more aware of his surroundings, but it's like he is so full of himself that he doesn't think to check these little details.
But the problem is
At least not anymore.
they haven't really written him that way. Like they still have him doing the inner monologues, like, "Oh, I have to think this through and be so smart." If they would have shown like his character becoming so full of himself and so confident that he was kind of missing corners, but they really haven't. So silly things like the fingernail in the back of the, pages and, "Oh, page 26, huh? What are you talking about, Kira?" Now he knows I'm the real Kira. It's just kind of silly at best. It's almost like someone else is writing this, trying to emulate the writing from part one, and you can tell. You might be
Like
right,
J.J.
Doug.
Abrams would go.
Yeah, yeah. It's like he finished and said, "Nope, that's my story," and they said, "We really need more." He's like, "I'm not going to do it." Well, we'll just get someone else under the same pseudonym.
Right.
To do it. Because it does seem
Because
that
nobody
much
knows
different.
you are anyway, so.
Yeah, there's no way for us to know
Yeah.
if they kept the same guy. And
So
it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't keep the guy, because it's just, like you said, it's dropping off a cliff. It's I'm hoping that the last 3 episodes can pick it back up. I'm not sure if it can, because of what these last eight episodes have been. They've been just steadily, and it's too bad. If they were gonna just have another L, just like, don't kill off L.
would it be a spoiler for you gentlemen if I gave you an affirmative or a negative of how it was going to go?
I don't think that would
Like
be
if
a
it's gonna get
spoiler.
better.
Like whether it would be better or not?
I don't think
that's
that's
not
a spoiler because
Okay. Well, then rest assured it does get better. Not right away, but you will. I think you're going to enjoy, at the very least, the last episode.
The one where he gets caught. I wonder if that's gonna happen.
Sure. Yeah. He totally gets caught. Yeah, that's what
And
happens.
if he
Remember-
doesn't, they could have just ended it at 26.
he becomes the Shinigami King. That was Ryuk's plan all along. You heard it here first, people. Shinigami Godlight.
You heard it here first, and the show aired 15 years ago or 18 years ago. So
It's funny because we've been doing these, and I rewatch our own videos, give them I don't know, I'm weird. So a lot of other Death Note stuff has been popping up on my homepage, because YouTube is, has the mind of a kindergartner. It's like, oh, he likes Death Note. I'll show him more. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you, YouTube. Good job, little buddy. So, but what I realized is that a lot of people have started talking about it again within the past 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
Not
like
just us.
recent discussions about it. So we're not the only ones.
Well, good. I'm glad to see
Yeah,
that they've
yeah.
taken our example. And we
Yeah.
didn't start it 2 or 3 years ago, but
Well, what I'm saying is I'm happy that it's not dying away, that people are still talking about it, because it is, other than like these couple of episodes aren't the greatest, but other than that, it's a pretty phenomenal anime so far.
maybe they go back, they redo it, but they balance it out rather than like having such a sharp drop off.
I don't know that they would, because like I said, the book doesn't get any better. It kind of drops off too.
You know what would have been a great ending? Like, say, we know that L knew that he was Kira.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of needing all the proof, he just knows he can't prove it, but he knows who it is. He takes him out.
I feel like that would be against his personality, but yeah, that would be kind of cool if he finally said, rules be damned, and took him out, maybe, samurai'd himself, and
wouldn't he have to take out the Death Note too? Wouldn't he be like, you know what, I got to take out the instrument he used too? And
he
try to-
would, yeah. He would definitely need to do that.
And that would have to be the end of it, because there's more Death Notes.
Oh yeah.
You could always create more series. This is just
And
one.
who's to say that Ryuk is the only, Shinigami that has this bright idea of dropping it? Clearly, other Shinigami have done this in the past, or the rules wouldn't exist. Were you guys watching, in the middle, like where the commercial break would have been?
Where the notes
Are you
come up?
noticing like there are so many rules surrounding if a Shinigami loses their notebook, if a human picks it up. There's a ton of rules. So clearly this happened quite a bit.
Well, and you
I'm
notice at one
assuming in
point
the
it
lore.
said if more than 6 death notes are in use
Yes.
in the human world, only those first 6 are like active
Yep.
or so. I was like, okay, so this
Like,
if
was
that's
there
a
this
rule,
huge Death Note war like years ago?
there was
Well,
at
I
one
keep thinking
time
when I read the
700 death
rules-
notes, and it was just
Right.
when
No,
I keep reading those rules, I'm like, I don't even read them anymore. It's just like, how many rules are you going to add on? And it's just going to affect this episode, what we're watching, because that's why you're throwing the rule out there so we can see it and have it apply. And it's like, all right, I don't even care about the rules anymore just because the story's going down. I don't care. All right, so you have to you can't write the first name on the front of the page and the last name on the back of the page, or else it won't work.
no, you
And
can
I'm
do
like,
that because that's considered the same page. You can't
Yes.
write it on 2 different pages.
yeah, all right, and see that's getting a little meticulous for me.
very.
You're going a little too far. Just all right, don't even say that. Just move on with the show.
See, I
I
read
get
it
that these-
and I go, oh, that's going to come up later. I'm glad I read that. I
It
bet
never
that
comes
plays
up
into the
later.
story. That's how Light
Yeah.
is going to use the
It
death note.
doesn't play into the story at all.
What?
What?
God,
Nothing?
That almost feels like a TikTok skit or something. And it's like, oh, this rule must be important. This rule isn't important at all. Well, I mean, it becomes important later on for the plot, right? Not even a little bit.
I have one question. What is a TikTok?
I think it's a mint.
I
You
kid.
think
We're on TikTok, people. Why don't you go check us out? There's wonderful videos up there. Back issue breakdowns, rumor mill runs down in focus, all this crazy stuff. I almost started talking like Gilbert Godfrey, and no one even cashed it in. But hey,
And before we go any farther, everybody hit subscribe.
that's
All
right.
There we go.
And that's the thing. We are at 1,229 subscribers. Who's going to be number 1230? Who's going to be number 2012? We need to know this, people. Subscribe. Get us to where we need to be. But back
We will
to
start adding prizes for people who when we get to certain thresholds.
the no
It'd be
prize.
fun. The no prize.
You get a not your status quo no prize. Congratulations. Yeah, and then like Doug was saying, the next episode, Nier's coming to Japan. He has to have his babysitter ride on the plane with him because he's never ridden a plane. And I mean,
Yeah.
they're starting to add silly little things like that take away from the story. It's not needed to be told to tell the story, but they're still being told. Like they don't have enough to write about, but they're not including things. Just very, very strange.
It's a character trait, isn't it adorable?
We
Like,
get
has Mello even been on there since that meeting that they had?
yeah, he
he's got a
showed
little
up.
Lego character.
No, he was watching Misa at one point too, wasn't he?
In these episodes? Maybe. Oh, that's right. He was. I forgot about that. He was hanging out with his weirdly dressed friend.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it was like for a split second.
And that's all
Yeah,
we've
but
seen.
definitely not much.
Yeah.
He's been a very minor character when I thought, all right, if they're gonna build off this, okay, let's see what happens. But like he said, he's disappeared. Why'd they bring him up if they aren't gonna show him the rest of the show?
Can
I'm sure
somebody explain where Nier is getting all this damn money from?
That they said that was L's stash, L's contribution.
How much
did
money
L-
does this guy have?
He's
Where did L get the money from? What
Because
Atari?
here's the thing. L had that giant tower built, and then they abandoned it for I don't know, an apartment or something. After he died, then I guess all of the rest of his money got transferred over to Nier, I assume, and then Nier is throwing buckets of money out the window. Then
Yeah.
every time he moves to a new location, it looks identical. He's got like 1,000 huge curved screens on the walls, and he's got all of his robots and toys and cars and Where's it coming from?
which and
I know it's a nitpick, but
it's much easier to apologize than ask permission. So I got to tell you guys something.
Uh-oh.
I built the Not Your Status Quo office, and it looks just like Nier's office. I'm sorry I didn't ask you
cool.
guys. I just went ahead and did it. I feel terrible.
you've
now.
maxed out all the credit cards.
Including my parents, your guys' parents, pretty much everybody. But we have a sweet office now.
Look,
guys.
I just committed a tiny bit of fraud. It's no big deal.
Just a little bit.
IRS won't even notice.
We do have a Not Your Status Quo credit card. Well, we had one. Keith bought a building with it, so.
Oh no!
Sorry.
I just bought a building. Look, we needed a building.
We got the building now. What's the matter? But then we see, the bodyguard following the guy, it's take a fake notebook. It's like even the plans are getting sillier. Mail the notebook and take a fake notebook to make it look like the Death Note, and then be seen writing names in it. And I'm like,
it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting out of control. It's a little convoluted at this point.
I almost wonder if, like, he had written out, gotten to like the final couple of issues, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't explain how this. Hold on, let me go back and he had a fake notebook all along. Yeah.
Let's do a flashback.
Right.
and then even the little dinner with Misa and Tadaka.
Oh, so cringy.
Yeah, that was. Oh,
and
lights,
unnecessary.
Lights, and we're announcing my, engagement, and I'm like,
Shut up, Misa.
Another useless scene that didn't provide anything. If anything, it made Takata look unworthy of being the goddess of death or whatever, because, she was not above all of that. Like, Light is above all of Misa's silliness. He uses her to get what he wants, but he's above all that silliness, and she kind of wasn't. She was kind of like a little jealous. And then when we saw the one cop, like, oh my God, Light has girls fighting over him. Oh my God, he's so awesome.
He's treating it like a soap opera.
Yeah. I was like, oh, what happened to the show where we were seeing back and forth, and I'm gonna outplay him, and I'm gonna do this, and I know this is true, and how do I prove it to?
I don't know. We missed a whole 5 years.
Yeah, that's what it was. There was a 5-year jump, and it became crap.
So who knows?
Yeah,
and I will say this. I like that Nier constantly points out that they've accomplished nothing. And even at one point, Light has to admit, like, oh, good, he thinks we're all incompetent. I can use this to my advantage. It's like, no, I think it goes beyond he thinks. Like, because you are Kira, your entire Kira task force is incompetent. You have accomplished nothing. And then at one point, like, somebody, I want to say it's like either the U.S. president or somebody in the Japanese police force, I don't remember who it was, says that, oh, well, they've got some accomplishments under their belt. Do they? What have they done? What did they do?
Have they done?
5 years.
Like a bunch of them have died, but
were there a few other fake Kiras that Light created and then they caught them or something?
No, the Kira killing stopped for like 2 weeks at that, or 3 weeks at that one point. So it couldn't possibly. They solved it. It's something new Kira, copycatters. So yeah, it's.
Sure.
I just wish I had a job as easy as those guys on the task force. We just sit around watching computers all day and don't really have to. Did you accomplish anything today? Nope, not a thing. Good job. Go home. We'll see you tomorrow. Remind me to give you a raise.
Your paycheck's in the mail.
Not only that, you're separate from the rest of the police, so you can do whatever the hell you want at any point.
And they seem to still have endless cash. We're gonna put cameras and wiretaps here, and we're gonna, be with Misa 24 hours, 24/7. And
and okay, the best part. So we were talking a little bit earlier how the one detective is getting really suspicious. Like, he's been suspicious of Light for a while. Like,
Yeah.
For a good while. And so he decides he's going to put a little fingerprint on the pad of paper. And he's like, there's got to be something going on because this is really suspicious. Meanwhile, the camera pans over to Light, who is waving a device around looking for bugs. First off, buddy, you're the Kira task force. Who else is putting bugs in this hotel room?
Right.
So, yeah, it's, as Keith put it, really sus, like beyond. Because, again, who else is putting the bugs there? You would be aware of any and all bugs. And you're going to do that in front of the other police officers. Like, oh, yeah, I'm looking for bugs. Why are you looking for bugs? Why is that so important to you? Oh, well, I don't want to upset Kira.
Good choice.
Yeah?
We don't want Kira killing you guys. Thank God you did that. And they can't bring notebooks from outside the thing to talk. And their conversations. Oh my God. It is a fine day. Read. Yes, it is a fine day. I think I want to help you capture Kira. Light Yagami.
It's like he could kill Misa right now because she doesn't mean anything to him. She's not helping him. She's not part of the.
No,
she doesn't have
she
the
gave up her
Shinigami eyes.
notebook, so she doesn't provide anything.
Rem is no
Yeah.
longer there to kill him if anything happens to
Right.
her.
So, like, what is her purpose in the show anymore?
Right.
Well, she's with the SPK now because, they
Well,
willingly
yeah,
went, not against their will or anything. And,
Mm-hmm.
Misa wasn't at the pop music festival, which, enraged some of the cops. Well,
I'm guessing that was she had the Taylor Swift effect. I mean, is she supposed to be that big in that universe? She's supposed to be big, right?
I guess she is at this point the when the show started. If you remember, like way back before the 5-year time jump, she was like an up and coming model. Like some people were aware of her, not everybody was though. Like she had
Yeah.
started making her own. She hadn't been acting yet. She was purely, a model, and she was in magazines and modeling, doing a lot of photo shoots and everything. So she was like up and coming. But I guess now that the 5-year time jump has happened, she must be singing and in a lot of movies. And so as you're going to hear this as you begin watching more anime, she has probably become an idol at this point. And an idol is in Japan, it's essentially just a super pop star. It is someone who sings and dances, and they're on reality TV, and they almost have like a manufactured life that is constantly in the view of the public.
That makes sense. It's kind of how they've portrayed her to be.
Yeah. So somehow, in that little bit of time, this is, I guess, what Misa has become. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we finally
Maybe that's what it's like.
see, he takes out first he touches the notebook to see if he can see, any Shinigamis around or anything. Yeah, he's totally freaking out. And then he goes back in, he's taking pictures of all the pages, to ensure it's Makami, or what's his name? Makami?
Oh my gosh, Mikami.
Mikami, yeah, Mikami,
yeah.
thank you. And
No, Makami. Just like manga and manga. It's
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm
Yes,
made
sorry.
up a title, man.
Makami,
Oh, Doug's going.
Mikami.
He gave up.
And he's like, okay, now I have everything I need. We can set my plan in motion. To be continued. And I was like, well, hopefully that's a good sign of things to come, because hopefully we'll get more of the, hey, this is my plan kind of falling into place, and here's the thing that I need to happen so I can finally catch, prove that Light is Kira and all that stuff. And it ends, and I was like, okay, good.
Delete.
Yeah,
Delete.
I don't know if you watched the episodes twice. I did not.
I watched the last episode twice. And I guess that's a little bit where my frustration is coming from, because when I watched it the second time, I was hoping, all right, maybe this will sink in a little more. and it's not. It's really had better pick back up. I don't know how it's going to do it after. I just really think they shouldn't have killed off L if they were just going to replace him with the same exact character. That was a worthless move.
Yeah, you could have brought Mello in still and used him more.
Yep.
Even with L being still there, it would have. Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Absolutely.
But I mean, overall, it's been. I think I wouldn't say it's fallen off a cliff, per se, but
it's going downhill.
It's definitely going downhill. It's like when I used to be like, oh, I'm watching it, I'm so excited, and now I'm still like, something's gonna happen. Not really. Oh, something happened, but it didn't really pertain to really anything that matters. Okay, cool. Okay, we're finally gonna get to the plan. We're done.
He continued.
I was gonna text you guys and say, let's just do all 7 on Thursday, because I was done with episode 34 yesterday at lunch, and I'm like, I could easily watch 3 more episodes between last night and lunch today. I'm like, nah, we better not. We need something for next Monday, so we'll save it. But I mean, that was the only thing interesting to me, I think, in the 4 episodes was Nier basically saying, hey, I have all the proof I need. I can finally put my plan in motion.
I've got a question about that, actually. Because that was another thing that it felt like they jumped the gun. And I had to Google it because I was like, something just doesn't feel like it's adding up. Okay. Nier is pretty sure. Like, I mean, he's got a lot of evidence the same way that L did, right? He's got a lot of, I'm pretty sure, like, a lot of things are pointing at Light, but none of it is actual, like, physical proof evidence. None of it is as hard as, like, when they found Misa's DNA on some of those tapes. Like, it's nothing that substantial. Like, a lot of it is, you've got a Shinigami hanging around, your place. So obviously, Kira is there. You haven't done anything in 5 years. It kind of seems like one of you is Kira. L did say he was suspicious of you, Light Yagami, so you're probably Kira. And it almost seemed like from one episode to the next, he was more and more sure of it. And like it started off with somebody on the task force is Kira. I'm pretty sure the fake L is Kira. To Light Yagami is Kira. And it's like, I'm gonna need you to fill in the blanks. Like, I mean, yes, we're the outside viewers. We know he's Kira. How do you know he's Kira? Other than I'm really pretty darn sure. Like, I mean, I know Light is kind of dumb at this point, and he is letting a lot of things slide where it's like it seems pretty darn obvious, but like it's still there's enough missing that Nier shouldn't be that positive.
This is not the same Light who made Ryuk go through all the house and find all of the cameras.
Right,
because you can't eat apples out in the open if we don't know where the dead spots are. Oh, I'm going to find them all. He's just, let's go write notes. Let's take the cameras out for some strange reason. No, I'm convinced they're writing notes. Really? Wow. Is this the detective work you've used the last 5 years?
What gave that away?
The 2 smartest detectives, in their universe, have both said Light is Kira. And then the original L dies, and nobody suspects. Nobody, I mean, and then nobody trusts them enough to say, he's right. Let's focus on him for like the next 5 years. Let's focus on this guy. No, they all just like, all right, these 2 have said this is him, and they don't do anything about it.
And
that's insane.
And Light's not even that good of an actor.
No, he's not.
I would love to see.
He sweats a lot.
Yeah, I would love to see like a flashback to the 5 years. Like, Kira seems to be killing a lot of people that are on, the 6 o'clock news from thing. And Light, you always take your dinner at 6 o'clock.
Right.
Yes, but it's because the seafood over at so and so is really good. You can see me eating there every day. And
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
it can't be him. He's eating. You can't write
Yeah,
names in the
he's
book.
eating. Right.
He had a date with Misa Misa. They went to a hotel room with no bugs. You know what they were doing? They certainly weren't writing names in a book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Light is definitely still a virgin.
It just seems like they are extending it past what they had originally thought.
I feel like
this is what it
that's
looks
got to
like,
be what
folks.
happened.
This is what it looks like, folks. When you
Mhm.
aren't ready for that next season that you're supposed to put together really quick after you've done told your story.
Yep.
No, yeah, it's more like, yeah, we told our story and they want more, so just put anything out. Who cares? And
Right.
that's where you get watered down. That's where you get television shows jumping the shark. And it does feel like, honestly, part two has jumped the shark for Death Note. Doesn't really seem like the same writing, the same storytelling. It's just, I really, Doug, I'm going to trust your opinion that it does get better, at least the final episode, to kind of clear it out. And I hope it does. I hope we get back. When he said, my plan can probably go into effect, I'm like, oh, cool, we're getting back to more of a part one Death Note type thing. And even though it's near, not L, it should be good. So I'm hopeful. I'm kind of excited to finish this up and, talk about it and, move on to, Agatha, the Penguin, and whatever else, whatever anime we're going to do next in our next sort of a lull in other nerd things. I'm kind of excited. So
I kind of like, I've been going back and forth on this. I kind of want you both to watch the Netflix movie.
With Willem Dafoe,
Yeah.
it's
Like-
Willem Dafoe.
Like shortly
William Dafoe.
after shortly after watching this, I think you should watch the Netflix movie while it's still fresh in your mind, just so that way like you get a better comparison, and like one is clearly better than the other.
got it. The movie with William Dafoe is better. Got it. Okay.
Yes,
No,
absolutely.
Willem.
That's what I said,
Absolutely.
William. Thanks, Doug.
Somebody say absolutely.
Yes, I said it twice.
And Dave said it.
I took 3 gulps.
Good.
Now, they could, one character that could come back to every series if they did like more Death Notes would be Ryuk.
Yeah.
He could always come back. Any of the Shinigami, except for Rem, obviously.
Whoops.
And Sado.
But they can always. That
We
could be
don't
the
want-
anchor.
I'd take Sado back.
He could be the anchor character in that universe. Oh, look, I tied it into Marvel.
Nice work. Nice work, Dave. Yeah, that's. I mean, like, I'm all
there
for
is
it.
something. Speaking of Sido, I forgot to bring this up. I went back and I was like, reading the story, and once again, there is something probably not super important that they left it out of the anime, but it is something that I guess I kind of wondered about. So, at no point did you guys realize this? At no point is Light or Misa or anyone, none of them are aware that Sido exists.
Yeah,
They
that
don't
makes
see
sense.
him, they don't mention him, nothing.
You mean Keith?
Yeah, Keith.
Keith.
Yeah, that sure. But yeah,
The
so like
Shinigami
none of
Ryuk.
them are aware that Sido even exists, and they actually explain that better. Like in the book, it's actually explained in a little bit more detail. The fact that it's not so much that a Shinigami won't point out that another Shinigami is there, they're not allowed to. It's another rule. And I wish they kind of would have explained that, so I wouldn't have complained so much when Ryuk and Rem were probably both in that diner like earlier on in the episodes, and it's not so much that Rem didn't want to tell Misa that Ryuk was there. They're not allowed to.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I wish they would have explained that at some point in the anime, but they don't.
Nope, they sure don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, should we rate these 4 episodes, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Well, I'll start because it's tradition. Yeah, like I said, it's been steadily going downhill. I guess I might have misstated, like Keith and I were saying a second ago. It didn't go off a cliff, but maybe it went off a cliff, but it's not a steep cliff. But it is going, it is going downhill. I think I've expressed it over and over that they shouldn't have replaced L if they were just going to replace him with the same character. So it would have been a lot more interesting had Mello been a bigger part of the story. This part, I think that would have made it a lot better if Mello was out there, doing stuff, being a monkey wrench, and they were, and Light was fixing that, but he was doing it smartly, not like he is now with everything is reactionary and see-through. Yeah, I gotta say I've been a little disappointed these last 8 episodes. With these last 4 getting worse than the previous 4. So, and I think I rated it 7.5 last week. I'm gonna rate these last 4 as 6.5. It's going down. I'm hoping Doug is right that the next 3 are gonna take off.
I didn't say the next 3.
He said the final episode was good.
Oh, just the last episode.
In my opinion, yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right anyway. So that's my rating.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that too. For me, it seems like it was more of a steep drop. The last couple of episodes, there was like a few shining moments here and there, but it feels almost like these 4 episodes that we reviewed kind of plateaued. That's how I feel about these. It was just like a little bit more of the same. Not a whole lot really came out of it, other than the fact that, okay, we have yet another substitute Kira. We have another mouthpiece for Kira. We've got another, obsessive girlfriend for Light, and it's kind of like what Dave was talking about, where you shouldn't kill off L if you're just going to replace him with another sort of L. And I think you were too kind when you said the same character. I don't feel that way at all. I think he's like a diet L. It's like how like sometimes in long-running sitcoms, what they'll do is they'll take a character that has a lot more depth to it and just like narrow it down to one particular character trait. Like you saw that a lot. Did you both watch that 70s show?
Never saw it.
Yeah.
So what they did towards the end is they would take like the strongest character trait of any individual person and crank it to 11. And it feels like that's what they did with Nier. It's like, we're going to take the worst aspects of L and just crank that up. So instead of, being a world-renowned detective and he's solved tons and tons of cases and he's going to think about this and talk about that, and he's going to, go out and he's going to be on the same, the level playing field as Light. Instead, we've got Nier, who's just like, I act like a child. I'm apparently really smart, and I play with toys. And that's it. That's his entire personality. He's baby L who plays with toys, but I guess is also kind of smart. And then you've got Mello, who, like in the, I think I told you guys about the live action movie that they did, where Mello was actually a split personality of Nier. I think that would have been a phenomenal idea, and I almost wonder if that was something the writer decided like after the fact, like, I should have done that, because it seems like a much better. It would have made him a more interesting character. Yeah. I'm looking at the other characters that they've introduced, and we've got Light's new, I guess, girlfriend, Kiyomi, and she's like she's so plain. She's so milquetoast. She's like not even like I get annoyed sometimes with Misa, but at least Misa is interesting. This girl, it's just like out of nowhere, she's somehow, for some reason, hasn't seen Light in like 5 years and is obsessed with him. And then once she finds out he's Kira, is doubly, obsessed with him. And then all of a sudden, we also have this prosecutor who, that seems like a weird twist. We have to have this entire backstory explaining that he was bullied, so he likes Kira. And it's like, really?
That's it.
He had a strong sense of justice.
And it almost feels like they took the worst defining trait of Light and said, we're gonna make this boring guy, and this is his one trait. He was bullied, and he's got a strong sense of justice and wants to rid the world of evil. But the thing is, like, his concept of evil is so childish for an adult who has who went to law school. Like,
Yeah. He's risen to the point.
So weird.
He's risen to the position of DA. You think he would
Yeah.
not be so childish?
It's weird. And it's like, I don't know what happened in these episodes other than, what I suggested earlier on is that the writer just wasn't interested in continuing the story. And so this is what we get now. We just get this sort of half-baked, oh, don't worry, I'm going to do a Star Wars, so I better rush this set of episodes. So because I feel like it wasn't horrible, but it just really feels like it plateaued, I'm going to give it a 7. And that'll be my rating.
Yeah.
Generous.
This has definitely started tailing downhill. Little things like scenes that don't really add to the story being a lot more. We're seeing characters written poorly. We have Nier, who is, as Doug put it, a diet hell. And it would have been so much more interesting if when he first came on, like, he was losing to Light on a regular basis. Like, Light was outsmarting him. And he started figuring out, he got better. Instead, as soon as he starts, he's as good as L. And he's, like, figuring everything out. And, the plans aren't being, executed well within the story. It's no longer, I have this plan and certain things are going in motion. And then you see it all play out and you're like, wow, that was really good. It's not like, oh, I got this weird plan and things are going to happen and I'm going to do things. If we could have seen, L or Light beating Nier at certain things and having that be the reason he is so confident in his own abilities and getting a little lackluster, that would have made more sense, but they didn't do it that way. And, we're having silliness going on all the time when it was a lot more serious and a lot more, two geniuses battling out. We've all talked about how Mello being introduced and then really just not playing any part in this anymore, which would have been an interesting twist to just having Light versus L or Light versus Nier, throwing this chaos into the whole thing, kind of like Misa did when she jumped in as a second Kira. It's just, I'm still watching, like, I'm not looking at my phone while it's on, but so much of it now, I'm just like, like, we could do not a back issue breakdown, we could do a back to the editing room on some of this, and I think do a better job. And it just has tapered off and changed. Like, the writing style seems different to me. Like, characters are no longer as interesting or as developed as they were before. I mean, the FBI, agent's fiance was more developed than a lot of the people we're seeing in part 2. Yeah. And that's a problem. You get used to these things in a show and then it, goes downhill. So for that reason, I'm going to give these 4 episodes a 6. Still above average, but definitely not as well written and entertaining as almost any of part 1. We talked so much in part 1 about how each episode seems to be getting better and building on the last episode. That has not happened in part 2. And the varying degree of, quality in this goes up and down. You'll get a pretty good episode and the next one is like, okay, there are 2 girls fighting over fighting over Light at dinner. It's not needed, not interesting. So I'm hoping I'm looking forward to finishing this up, seeing how it ends. Hopefully enjoying it. Or I'll just pretend part 2 never happened and part 1 was all of Death Note.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's definitely gone from I can't wait to watch the next episode to okay, I'll watch the next episode tomorrow. No big deal.
Yep.
I will say though, I still haven't found myself picking up my phone and getting too distracted. So at least there's that.
I said the same thing to Dave when you were away from the desk a little while ago. I'm still watching. I'm not. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I missed that part. I better rewind it.
Oh wait, you were wound?
Not on some shows. Acolyte. But
blanks, whatever.
But it's 9:30. It's kind of early.
Mm-hmm.
Something dropped.
We got some news.
Oh, something dropped.
All right. I knew we had something. What do we got?
We talk about the trailer for Venom, The Last Dance.
Let's do it.
We're going to watch a little bit of it, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll watch a little bit of it, maybe talk about it a little more. Are you gentlemen ready?
Blocked by Sony,
as
we usually do. Yeah, they love blocking their trailers, I tell you.
They watched the Craven Hunter. Get him, boys! Send out the...
So if we suddenly go off the air on YouTube, you'll know what happened.
Yes, let us apologize up front. If we go off air, it's because we're talking about this. We'll put it up later. But are you gentlemen ready?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
This is your captain speaking.
Yeah, that.
To your left, you'll see a.
The whole gambling scene. I need more money. Kind of a quick.
Give me more money.
Quick little. Gambling's bad. We're going to show it through the symbiote in a 13-second scene.
Let me guess, like MGM Online or one of these other online gambling apps has paid them something.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure it's a product placement of some kind. But that was the trailer. Yay.
Yep.
But it was funny because soon after all the little Twitter scoopers that I don't know if they've ever gotten anything right. There are some good scoopers out there, don't get me wrong. But there's like Marvel updates, Marvel leaks, a bunch of these ones that just start, and all of a sudden, Spider-Man 4 is going to have Null. It's going to be this multiversal Null saga, and it's going to be an Avengers level event. And all I can think, can't we just get Spider-Man and Daredevil versus the Kingpin?
Right?
Is that too much to ask?
I mean, it seemed like that's what they were setting up at the end when he was sewing his own costume, and it was like back to basics, even though the more you watch that movie, the more plot holes start to come into place, and it's like, that doesn't make sense. It's a fun movie, but that doesn't make any sense.
It's a fun movie. It's got a lot of heart. It's enjoyable. But yeah,
it feels like that's what they were setting up with him having to make his own costume. He doesn't know anybody, doesn't have anyone to rely on. Okay, cool. Now we can finally get him, taking photos for the paper to make money so he can pay his overpriced New York apartment. We've got him, fighting up against the Kingpin, who's now trying to run for office. We've got he already has met Matt Murdock, so now he's got that relationship with Daredevil. That would be cool. That would be the ideal Spider-Man story. But yeah, of course they're going to want to go over the top and do this weird, stupid space story event bull crap.
Because Spider-Man didn't come into the MCU till later. They had to get him into Infinity War and Endgame, and then No Way Home, this multiversal saga. And it was nice to see that they were kind of deconstructing him back to, the Peter Parker from like when his origin story. He was just a street level guy fighting crime, and I really was hoping we'd get that in Spider-Man 4, especially with how Echo ended, with the Kingpin running for office in New York, knowing Daredevil born again. probably by the end of that, he might be the mayor of New York, and things he can do to try to, you know, make these vigilantes illegal. So much they could have done. And of course, and that's, you know, we have no sources or anything, but it did
Yeah, we don't
sound,
know for sure.
it did sound like that's the way they were going, and it made sense, and we were excited. And then, of course, I'm sure, you know, and that's how it seemed like Marvel Studios wanted to do it. And then Sony gets involved, and you start hearing, oh, they want to do more of a multiversal saga. Oh, why? Because No Way Home almost made $2 billion with the other Spider-Man.
They don't understand why it made money.
They do not.
They just were like, it must be because big multiverse space story. It's like, no, guys, come on.
We need a
It's
bigger
because when you
story.
tell a good Spider-Man story, it had a lot of heart in it. Like you had this version of Spider-Man finally getting his with great power, there must also come great responsibility speech. You've got, you know, Aunt May unfortunately passing on him. Sorry, spoilers to anybody who hasn't seen a 3-year-old movie, but
A $2 billion 3-year-old movie.
right, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it had a those were the things in it that made it such a good Spider-Man movie. And I think it's one of the reasons why I still to this day I really appreciate Homecoming. It was a very grounded, back to basics, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and God, they need to do more of that.
And I don't think Sony will let them, because Sony's thought is, we got to do it bigger and better than the last one. We got to get even zanier. When, I mean,
They'll never
it'll
learn.
make money, because I'm sure Marvel's
Yeah, it'll
Studios
make
is handling
money.
it. But if they had a Marvel or Spider-Man Daredevil team up in the MCU against the Kingpin, that people would go nuts. That's what, you know, comic books, we always talk, this is all based on comic books. And they'll have a big event, and then things kind of come back down to normal for a little bit and ramps up to something else. And I don't think the executives understand that making a movie that's just grounded, that's not multiversal, doesn't have some, you know, multiversal,
End of the
universal
world.
yeah, you can make that and it can be great. I mean, look at Guardians Volume 3. That wasn't the end of the world stuff. It was just a personal story of Rocket.
We want to save our buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And they could do that and make it grounded, and then have all those characters show up in Secret Wars, and it'd be multiversal. That's
Yeah.
if it's
You know,
if
as
it's
far as the Venom angle goes, like, you know, we all saw him. The symbiote is in the MCU. We just saw that in the post-credit scene. Now,
If
are
it
they going
survived.
to let? What's that?
If it survived.
Yeah, are they going to allow that to be?
I
What's his
don't
name?
know, because
Tom
that makes me wonder
Hardy.
if they were to tell a symbiote story and actually have it weave into the MCU where they've got like maybe another version of Venom, they've got like, you know, a 616 version of Eddie Brock or something like that. I really don't know what they're going to do. That depends on if Kevin Feige wants to do that and how much more they'd have to give up to Sony to make that happen.
I mean, or they could just take their story and just keep going with it in the MCU. But, obviously they'd have to get better writers.
Well, if you remember, one of the theories that we had when Thor: Love and Thunder was coming out, we thought for sure, okay, this is when they're going to introduce Null, because, you know, that's the famous sword. It's the God
Necro
Killer
sword, yeah.
the Necro sword. And so obviously that would make sense. But then, again, if you think about it, Kevin is going to be like, yeah, no, that's treading too much into Sony territory. We're not trying to give up any more to them. If we do that, all of a sudden they're going to claim that Thor is theirs or some bullshit.
And you don't need to. I mean, you had Gore, the God Butcher. You didn't need to introduce Nolan that. You can leave hints that he might be coming down the way, which they kind of did with the Necro sword. But
Kind
good old
maybe.
Sony.
I don't know.
we gotta jump through that that glass ceiling. We're gonna shatter it because we want to go crazy. We want to do what's going on now in the comics and make it huge and big. And
They don't understand that, like you said, after the big event, it brings it back down, and you have to build
They
up.
don't understand. They don't.
They don't understand the build up phase, because that's what makes you a $3 billion movie, is the build up of all the other movies coming together.
Yep.
They don't get that.
The fact that news is coming out, what Keith told us the other day, the fact that news is coming out that they're meddling with the Spider-Verse movie script, like, how dare you?
Wow.
Like, you have no business.
Do you think they're meddling with it to kind of bring it into something that intertwines with Venom and Knoll and MCU, Tommy Holland?
Care why they're meddling with it.
No.
Stop.
I agree, but I'm saying, do you think that's what they're meddling with? Like, they want to...
Maybe.
We don't want this to just be a Spider-Verse story anymore. We need it to connect to all this other stuff. And man, if they screw up Spider-Man 4 by meddling and screw up Beyond the Spider-Verse by meddling, I am marching at dawn at Sony Studios because...
I mean, we try to write off Sony because they keep doing this stuff, but we still go see the movies. We're going to.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but
I mean, you could say I'm not going to spend another $1 on a Sony movie if they keep doing this stuff, but you know we will. We're gonna go. We're still going to see Craven, for crying out loud.
As long as they owned the rights to certain superhero stuff, like, it's kind of in our wheelhouse. It's almost like we kind of have to. We can't, we can't be Disney shills. So even though the Sony movies aren't that great and they don't seem to know what to do with these characters that they have the rights to, they gotta go see them anyway, I guess.
And they're not making big money. They're not. We're not pushing them over.
The theaters are pretty empty. We don't really need to do assigned seating, do we?
We certainly don't.
Each one of us could sit in a different corner of the theater,
right,
and still have a regular conversation because there's no one between
hey,
us.
guys.
How's the sound over there?
The projectionist leans out. Really? Are you sure? I don't have to. I can put on a different movie if you want.
Oh, please, yeah, do. What do you got up there?
Do you got Detective Pikachu? I'm just kidding. No.
No. You got the original Lord of the Rings up there, right? Let's watch that.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah,
there was a movie I went to go see at, I think, back when Phoenix Theaters at Laurel Park Mall, when it used to be called AMC 10. I went to go see a movie there, and I was the only one in the theater. And so the projectionist didn't start it right away because he didn't think there was anyone in the theater. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking. It's like 10 minutes after the movie is supposed to start, and I stand up and I'm getting ready to go look for someone. And I hear the guy, "Oh, there is someone there." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I didn't know that they just did that. If no one's there, like, oh, we're not going to waste the electricity.
I didn't know that either. That's funny.
Yeah.
But shouldn't they know? Shouldn't they go, "Hey, do we have any ticket sales for this movie?" Yeah, okay, we gotta play it.
And maybe back then they weren't as, like, aware of that. I don't know.
They probably didn't have.
So I want to say this was like early 2000s. So it's not like they were doing that many online sales.
Yeah, everything was at the ticket booth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. It is almost 10 o'clock. Should we find somebody to raid, gentlemen?
I think we should.
Once again, for those of you on YouTube, raiding is something we do on our Twitch stream, where we send all of our viewers to another streamer that we like. So we won't be doing anything on YouTube, but we do appreciate you. If you're watching this, not when we're live, but on a repeat, thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that fun YouTube stuff that we like to do. But let's see.
Yes, comment below and watch another one of our videos right after.
We've got Laura Dreaming.
She is?
And we've got...
Graduating is on again.
Yeah.
They only have 7.
Got somebody called Carmen. I don't remember who that is. Playing Grand Theft Auto 5. Fantastic P. I don't remember who that is either.
We could raid the game.
What game?
There's an NFL game going on right now.
I don't think they allow you to raid the games. Well, what do you think? Laura Dreaming or graduating
that.
for Laura Dreaming? All right.
How about me?
Did I spell it right? I did.
Good job.
It's you.
One time and I did it. Okay, but once again, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. We'll be back Monday, not Sunday this week, but next Monday to finish off our Death Note and maybe talk about anything else that may be coming up. But we appreciate y'all. Thank you kindly for coming up, and we will see you Monday night.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.